One day we're on Twitter and come across this picture. A new ocean is forming in Africa. A 35-mile crack opened up in Ethiopia in 2005. Wait, what? The African continent is breaking apart? No way, this can't be real. Or is it? So we went down a rabbit hole. What is happening here? Does this massive crack actually exist? Over the course of the last 6 months, we tried to uncover the truth. And ultimately, we decided to make the journey to this place ourselves.
I'm walking on the edge of a new forming ocean, of a splitting continent.
Turns out the story of how and why and where Africa is literally breaking is even more fascinating than we could have ever imagined. As Day One Vox fans, this is our chance. Our own Circle in the Sahara video. Well, maybe not as mysterious, but still. We start our research and come across this photo again and again. It could be Photoshop. We inspect it and it doesn't seem to have obvious flaws, but we are no experts by any means. So we do a quick Google image search, and even big outlets like NBC use this photo. So it's at least unlikely that it's fake. And there's a credit for Anthony Philpotts as the photographer. So we decide to look for him, Anthony Philpotts. And we learn that he is jackpot, a professor emeritus of geology and geophysics at the University of Connecticut. At this point we are excited. So we write him a message asking if he would be interested to do a video call with us. We wait a few days. And Professor Philpotts really answers and he says, no. Okay, let's move on. Even though Philpotts doesn't want to talk to us, he writes in his email that he is indeed a photographer and that he took the photo in the Afar region of Ethiopia. So the picture is real. But what's the Afar region? The crack is located here. We find out that it's often called Dabahu Fissure because it indeed opened in 2005 when the volcano Dabahu erupted. This eruption must have been quite powerful. On a website we read, when erupted, the Afar's camels and goats were swallowed by huge flame sand ash. What? In a paper, a scientist writes, 700 goats, 200 camels, and 70 donkeys killed. The volcanic ash and gases caused some issues for the locals, but thankfully no one died. Only one person was injured. But where exactly is the Dabahu fissure? If you search for it on Google Maps, you only find the volcano, not the fissure itself. And we can't spot it next to the volcano. So we look for a new expert who has visited the Afar region and find Dr. Derek Keir. He's an associate professor in earth science at the University of Southampton and has a really cool profile picture on his Twitter. Geologists really be flexing those lava pics. And this time we are lucky. He agrees to talk to us. Dr. Keir visited the Afar region about 20 times already.
It's basically positioned just north of Dabahu or northeast of Dabahu, between Dabahu volcano and another volcano called Gabho. It's more or less directly in between the two. I think Gabho is about, 10 or 20 kilometers north of Dabahu. So the vent site is about 5 or 10 kilometers north of Dabahu. And I suppose in the literature, the vent is called Daure. It's the name that's been used for the specific vent because that's the name that the local people use for the area.
Alright, such a big rift might be recognizable on satellite imagery. On Google Maps we only see clouds, so let's try to find it on Google Earth instead. Ethiopia is huge. It's 5 times bigger than the UK, or about the size of Texas and California combined for our American audience. Okay, here's the Dabahu volcano. A little more north. Got it. Just to watch it on Google Earth, ain't it? We want to know more about this eruption and the opening of the vent fissure, and we kinda want to see it in real life. So we search for ways to visit it. But it isn't exactly a walk in the park. It's It's in the middle of an active volcano territory. After a while, we come across Action Tours, who offer a trip to the Dabahu fissure. Okay, but who could fly to Ethiopia for us and go to this place? Naturally, as YouTubers, we never really leave our mom's basements. So, enter Vali. He is our former art director, does go outside regularly, and has been hitchhiking through the world since like 2 years.
Of course I'm in. I'm just in the middle of India right now.
Vali is making the trip for us, but it will take a little preparation. If you travel a lot, staying connected wherever you are is a must, whether it's video calling your family or watching your favorite YouTuber before bed. But dealing with local SIM cards in each country can be a real hassle. For your next trip, get an eSIM from Saeli. It works just like a physical SIM card, but it's digital, giving you instant access to mobile data wherever you go. Saeli offers hundreds of flexible data packages in over 180 countries and 8 regions around the world. And the best part, you manage it all in one app. It's super easy to set up. Let's say you want to travel around India like Vali. Before you leave, you download the Saeli app, choose a package that suits you, and activate it. Once you arrive at your destination, your eSIM automatically connects. Now you can hop between countries and always stay connected, no matter if you're here or here or here. If you want to try Saeli, scan this QR code or visit saeli.com/ferntv and use the code ferntv to get 15% off your first purchase. We can highly recommend it. Let's jump back to Vali and his journey to Ethiopia.
I'm inside an Indian truck. It's about 1 a.m. There's 2,000 kilometers to go until Chennai. I have 3 more days to catch a flight to Ethiopia, Addis Ababa. And since there might be more people watching than I'm used to, I might want to do something about this travel goatee thing.
Hi guys.
Let's go to Africa.
On July 17th, Vali takes the plane from Chennai to Addis Ababa. Here Vali meets Misganao. He's from Action Tours and will help Vali to get to the vent fissure. Tomorrow they will fly from Addis Ababa to Samara. There they will meet the rest of the team. Then they will drive with 2 cars into the desert and trek 6 hours to the Dabahu fissure.
It's a big bird is flying and God must be crazy. Now we are getting up, fly, robin flying, robin, up. It's just like that, up.
While Vali and Misganao are on the plane to Samara, let's take a closer look at the splitting of Africa. The surface of our planet is always changing. The formation of our continents as we know them began hundreds of millions of years ago with the supercontinent Pangaea. It was gigantic and encompassed almost all of Earth's land masses, and it was surrounded by a global ocean called Panthalassa, until Pangaea had an existential crisis and fell apart. The shifting of the continents started slowly, 1 millimeter per year, and then picked up speed. This can be compared to the tearing of a rope. It may start slowly, but the last rope fibers suddenly tear very quickly. The tectonic plates can reach speeds of up to 20 millimeters per year. That is quite fast and roughly the speed of your fingernails growing. When the plates move apart, the Earth's crust becomes thinner, a basin forms, until the Earth's crust breaks. Instead of seconds like in our visual, this process takes a very long time. It took over 40 million years for Africa and North America to separate. And right now, deep down, it's happening again. This is the East African Rift System. It's an active continental rift zone. It stretches over 6,000 kilometers, roughly from the edge of the Red Sea through Ethiopia to Mozambique. You can even see it from space. It consists of a series of rift valleys.
It's currently the largest continental rift on Earth.
This rift system is not a new phenomenon. It all started millions of years ago. Over the past 30 million years, the Arabian Plate has been moving away from Africa. The ground sank. This created the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden. Along the East African Rift, the Somali Plate and the Nubian Plate are drifting away from each other. Where the tectonic plates move apart, rift valleys form. From the Red Sea, the rifting extends southward. Here, the East African Rift system splits into two branches, an eastern and a western branch.
There's the Eastern Rift that runs more or less through central Kenya, and then the Western Rift is sort of running more or less on the border of several countries like Rwanda, Burundi, Uganda, and then a major part of that western part of the rift runs basically right through the border of Tanzania and the Congo, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and then between Tanzania and Zambia. And then it sort of becomes one single rift again when you get down to roughly Malawi. The rift sort of goes through Malawi and then into countries like Mozambique and Botswana.
The rifting process also created three microplates: the Victoria Plate, the Rovuma Plate, and the Luandro Plate. Along the rifts is a lot of volcanic activity. These forces are immensely powerful. They once formed Mount Kilimanjaro in the north of Tanzania. Today, it is the highest mountain in Africa. The east and west branches are very different. Mountain massives like Mount Kilimanjaro probably had a major influence on the climate. They act as a barrier for clouds. As a result, you can find dry landscapes and vast savannas in the east and rainforests and lakes in the west. But this is the heart of the East African Rift system, the Afar region. Here, three tectonic plates meet: the Nubian or African Plate, the Arab Plate, and finally the Somali Plate, which is currently emerging.
Basically, Somalia is rotating in a clockwise direction away from Nubia. So the result of that is that the motion are faster in the north, sort of roughly half a centimeter per year.
Some researchers believe that a super plume is responsible for the tectonic changes right now. A mantle plume is an upwelling of hot rock material rising from deep in the Earth's mantle. They look like a scary hot mushroom. And super plumes are the same thing but huge, spreading over hundreds of kilometers. A super plume beneath Africa is likely to cause the plates to move apart. When the hot rock material spreads under the Earth's crust, it presses against the crust with so much force that it expands and eventually cracks open. Wherever the Earth's crust becomes thinner, the land sinks. Here, the ancient fractures and fault zones formed the current profile of the East African Rift Valley. The Afar region is one of the hottest places on Earth. Temperatures reach over 50 degrees Celsius in summer. It's a very active volcanic territory. It should be devoid of life, but it isn't.
After a few hours through the desert, we've reached the first town, the first village, Teru, in the middle of the plain deserts. So it seems we have reached some kind of tourism office and they're having a meeting. We have to wait until they're done with their meeting. So we just collected Adam. And he will help us navigate this volcano landscape. I think we're asking for directions. Car is getting fuller.
It's a huge news here. 5 years ago, there was no road for the vehicles. It was only trekking, about 6 hours trek. Very monotonous, exhaustion, full of exhaustion. But now they told me they have off-road like this. So the walk maximum is about 30 minutes.
Oh.
So
30 minutes of walking?
Nice today.
No way.
It's a huge news. Life is easy now.
Man, I was so ready to trek for 6 hours.
No 6 hours. Yes. No need to trek.
Yeah.
It's good news. Hours you can discover this area.
The tour goes on. Vali and the Action Tour team have reached their destination.
We're seeing how far we can actually get towards the volcano.
They set up camp for the night and trek the last meters to the fissure. Young men with Kalashnikovs walk with Vali.
Sorry, whoever has to censor out all these weapons.
Ethiopia is torn apart by internal conflicts and ethnic tensions. Tigray borders the Afar region. A brutal, deadly 2-year civil war began here in 2020 and spread to the surrounding regions. human rights violations and conflicts continue to this day. Carrying weapons has therefore become an essential part of daily life for many inhabitants of the Afar region. Now there are only a few meters to go.
They're just standing on the edge of the fissure. Whoa! Oh, what?
Take care! Antarctica! Don't go to the tip. Okay? Don't go to the tip.
Incredible. Just watching the earth literally split into new parts. I doubt it'll get across on video, but with every step I take, it feels like the earth is actually somehow hollow. It makes a hollow kind of sound, and everything vibrates if anyone around me takes a step. It feels like I'm not walking on stable ground, and there's this constant, you hear this, like rumbling all the time, rumbling and like boiling of the earth. It's a bit scary, to be honest, as if the earth could swallow me any second.
This vent fissure is about 500 meters long, but it is only a small part. What you can see from above is the 60-kilometer-long dike of solidified magma formed in the rift.
The 60-kilometer crack is visible with using some satellite remote sensing techniques called INSAR. Basically, it's a technique that looks at the difference between two radar satellite images that were collected before the dike and after the dike, and is able to measure the ground motion that's been caused by the diking. You see evidence that either side of the rift have separated by about 8 meters or so.
Vali is standing at the birthplace of a new ocean. In 5 to 10 million years, a new sea will form here. The water will rush through the region and make its way.
It should more or less go right through where the vent is, because that is on the boundary between the two plates. The dike and where the vent is on the boundary between the Arabian plate and the Nubian plate.
For the first time in human history, people can document how a new ocean is born. Countries like Uganda and Zambia could one day have their own coastlines, but that's far from certain. Dr. Kier says it's possible that the forces won't be strong enough to split the continent completely.
In Afar, the thinking is basically that the Red Sea should continue a little bit further south into most of Afar, and then Afar will become part of the Red Sea, and ultimately you'll have a much bigger link between the Gulf of Aden and the Red Sea.
Neither us, our children, their children, or their children to the power of X will witness what will actually happen. But even today, the Afar region is an exciting and fascinating place.
The East African Rift is it's the final remnant of this rifting process of a supercontinent. It's the last major rift. You know, there have been periods of time where there haven't been so many continents. There's been sort of one or two big continents. Now there's like a lot of them spread around the world. So it's probably quite unusual, you know, in terms of the geological history of the planet, to have so many little continents.
Even aside from geology, this place is special.
I feel like these Afar people, they really embrace the spirit of this place. This place is nothing but impermanent, ever-changing, all the time, so quickly. Just like their homes.
Around 2 million people live in Afar. Most are nomads, some of the last ones on Earth, and pastoralists. They often live from their goats, camels, and from trading salt.
Afar does have towns and cities, but most of the people that live in the towns are from people from neighboring neighboring areas, basically, that they come there to work and run hotels and restaurants. I mean, there are some Afar people that do that as well, but the majority are actually living in the countryside, living a traditional lifestyle. And they have, their own language, which is different from other parts of Ethiopia, and they have their own dress. They dress more kind of similar to people from Arabia.
During his travel to the fissure, Vali met some locals and had the opportunity to see how they live.
It's goat's butter.
Goat's butter? Time to get shiny. Okay. Goat milk. Goat butter. Mhm. Right from the volcano. A little bit sour.
It was boom, boom. And those big stones, rocks, have been just shoot like flying star to another mountain direction. That time when it erupted, there were Afar goats here. They were just swallowed by the fire, and they were all dead. Thankfully, the Afar people has never been victimed, but their animals have been okay, fired by that volcano. Every day I come here, I see changes. So, sooner or later, I will expect even a big explosion around here. And sometimes even there is earth movement here.
The Afar people are facing a number of challenges, including recurring droughts, disease outbreaks, and conflicts. There's also a chronic water shortage. So Afar people use the volcanic activity to their advantage.
So in many parts of the rift, especially around the Bahu, there's no sort of permanent water sources like rivers or lakes. But there is quite pure water that's produced from the hydrothermal system. So what people do is they deliberately find kind of hot vents and fumaroles where there's water vapor being emitted from some of the fractures and faults near the volcano.
Vali even visited these fascinating water constructions.
They just put some branches and the water collects by itself. They can just scoop it out during winter time. Now there's some rain, there's a lake nearby, but during winter they use this water only. Fascinating. We just spent the last few hours around the Bahu and now back to the camp. And man, what a powerful place is this. It marks the splitting of a continent, the formation of a new ocean, and much closer to home, much closer to humanity, the playground and oasis for the local Afar nomads. I'm so grateful that I get to be here. Probably less than a handful of outsiders have ever set a foot here. Well, I'm so grateful.
John Allen Chow paddles through the Indian Ocean. He's on a holy mission, sent from God. As he nears the shore, he spots them. They are shouting at him in a language he doesn't understand. He carefully listens to the sounds they make. In an attempt to greet them, he responds by imitating the sounds. They laugh. Then two come towards him. So he throws gifts wrapped around two large fish into the shallow water. Then he starts to sing Christian worship songs, and for a moment they pause. But his kayak scrapes onto the dead coral, forcing him to get out. And some of them are getting very close now. Suddenly, a child grabs an arrow, pulls back his bow, and shoots. John entered a forbidden place where time stands still. Outsiders like him are not welcome. North Sentinel Island is one of the most secluded places on Earth, and it's home to a tribe that has lived in total isolation for tens of thousands of years. We don't know what language they speak, how many they are, or even what they call themselves. Over the years, contact attempts have ended in confusion, violence, and death. Myths, viral headlines, and speculation have turned North Sentinel into a modern-day internet legend. The real story is much more nuanced. It's one of intrusive American tourists with Diet Cokes, ruthless Christian missionaries, abusive colonialists, traumatized children, and a highly destructive obsession with the exotic. The internet has a lot to say about North Sentinel Island.
They have a theory that North Sentinel Island is home to a top secret research facility.
There is an island in the Andaman chain called North Sentinel Island. They kill everybody who lands there, essentially.
Yeah. What really caught my eye was this circular building, 3 little offshoots coming off of it.
There's North Sentinel merch, Instagram pages, and fake Google reviews. Most of all, it's known for being dangerous. North Sentinel has become a meme. In January 2025, this American YouTuber entered the island. He filmed himself trying to make contact with the Sentinelese. As a peace offering, he left behind a can of Diet Coke, but he never actually made contact. Instead, he got arrested. Indian police are currently investigating him for illegally trespassing in the strictly forbidden zone. He is likely facing up to 5 years in prison.
I think we live in a world where all we need to do is sort of flip open our laptop or look at our phone, and we can connect with just about anybody in the world, learn anything that we want to learn, see any place that we want to see. And yet there's still this one place that's isolated. So it really is kind of the last place in some ways that's unexplored on our planet.
North Sentinel is not what the internet paints it to be. To truly grasp it, we need to go back in time, quite far back. It's the last ice age. A group of early humans set out from their home in Africa. It's still debated when exactly that took place, but it is believed to be between 40 and 60,000 years ago. They're among the first to migrate eastward across the vast Asian continent in search of more favorable climates, new food sources, and habitable land. The world looks very different. Massive ice sheets cover parts of North America and Europe. Since much of Earth's water is locked in ice, sea levels are often far lower than they are today. What we now call the Asian continent stretches farther. Some islands are connected, and so these early humans walk. They cross landscapes long lost beneath the waves of what we now call the Indian Ocean. They likely use vessels like rafts or canoes to hop from island to island. And their journey eventually brings them here. We don't know when, possibly up to 50,000 years ago. Today it's the Andaman Archipelago, nestled in the Bay of Bengal. As thousands of years pass and the glaciers melt, the sea levels slowly rise. Bit by bit, their world shrinks. And what ultimately remains is a single remote island roughly the size of Manhattan, North Sentinel. We spent countless hours crafting these animations, researching, building, refining, all to tell stories that matter. Maybe you're building something too, a product, a brand, a business. That's where Shopify comes in. Shopify is a powerful all-in-one platform. We've personally used it for years for our sustainable clothing business. We've built a professional online shop with ease, constantly optimizing the user experience. Beyond core features like useful analytics and live views, Shopify offers 2 great new tools. Horizon makes designing your store even easier. You pick the theme, then customize the layout however you like. It's fast, smooth, and easy to use. Sidekick looks at your store's data in real time and offers useful insights. What's working, what's not, and what to try next. So if you're thinking of starting something or just want a better way to run it, try Shopify for free at shopify.com/fern or scan this QR code. The exact origin of North Sentinel's population is still a mystery. No genetic material has ever been collected from the Sentinelese. But the DNA of neighboring Andamanese tribes has been studied. The Onge and Jarava are believed to be closely related to the Sentinelese. Scientists found that their genes carry 2 rare variants not found in mainland India populations. They are totally unique to the Andamanese. That means they likely split off from other human populations very early on, between 25 and 42,000 years ago. Genetically, the Sentinelese are likely one of the most unique human tribes on Earth, which also makes them one of the most vulnerable ones. This is John 2 years before his journey to North Sentinel Island. He's 24 years old, raised in a Christian household. He went to an evangelical high school just like his father. He's known for 2 passions, the outdoors and Jesus Christ. John is deeply interested in missionary work. Though his parents are Christian as well, they don't share his enthusiasm, especially his father. But John seems to genuinely enjoy immersing himself in evangelical doctrine. Right now, he's browsing through the Joshua Project. That's a Christian missionary database which tracks so-called unreached people groups. One entry is about North Sentinel.
Sentinelese people need to know that the Creator God exists and that He loves them, and paid the price for their sins.
We don't know much about the Sentinelese. The entire population is possibly somewhere between 80 and 100 people. Their language remains a complete mystery. No one, not even neighboring tribes, can understand it. No one knows what they call themselves. They live in small huts grouped tightly together. Overall, they're quite crafty. Wooden buckets, bows, arrows, all self-made with raw materials from the island. In the jungle they hunt pigs, along the reefs they fish. They also eat local fruits and raw honey. The Sentinelese are taller, more muscular, and overall healthier than their neighbors. A tsunami wreaked havoc in the region in 2004, but the Sentinelese miraculously survived. Experts believe this may have to do with their indigenous knowledge system. Foresight and wisdom is passed down from generation to generation. But this was perhaps the strangest discovery in a Sentinelese village. A wooden board, about 52 by 30 centimeters big, with 64 alternating squares. It looks exactly like a chessboard. Did the Sentinelese carve it themselves? Or did it wash up from the sea? No one knows. No other Andaman tribe has ever shown evidence of playing games like chess. John has been obsessed with the Sentinelese for years now. The missionary website advises so-called prayer points.
Pray that the Indian government will allow Christians to earn the trust of the Sentinelese people and that they will be permitted to live among them. Pray that God will open doors to Sentinelese people to receive the gospel message.
John could be the first one that brings Christianity to them. In fact, he thinks it's his calling.
God, I thank you for choosing me before I was even yet formed in my mother's womb, to be your messenger of your great news to the people of North Sentinel Island.
The Sentinelese certainly didn't express any desire to be converted. Their experience with intruders has been, well, pretty terrible. It's the year 1880. A Sentinelese family walks through the jungle. Suddenly, they hear voices through the bushes. Unfamiliar voices. For weeks now, strange white men have been fighting their way through the jungle on the island. They carry weapons and seem to be looking for inhabitants. When they approached one of their villages some days earlier, the Sentinelese ran away. Now, suddenly, they stand face to face. Ready to defend his family, the old man reaches for an arrow. The armed intruders rapidly encircle the Sentinelese family. They are led by the man in the center. His name is Morris Vidal Portman, and he's been searching for them for a long time. Portman is a 20-year-old British officer put in charge to oversee the Andaman Islands under colonial rule. He is fascinated with the indigenous tribes in the area. While staying in Port Blair, the capital city of the Andaman Islands, he immersed himself in the study of the Andamanese people. Culture, food, crafts, and tattoos. Everything is carefully documented in his notebooks. He arranges young Andamanese men for the camera, posing them in unnatural, almost performative ways. He likes to surround himself with a group of Andamanese convict servants. He calls them junglies. But there's one place he hasn't conquered so far, North Sentinel Island. To him, it's the last great mystery of the archipelago. He's obsessed with the Sentinelese, convinced that he could be the first white man they'll ever meet. He's tried to contact them before and failed. But now, he has a new plan. As the old Sentinelese man draws his arrow, one of the intruders jumps on his back. The three Sentinelese are wrestled down and taken, torn from the only home they've ever known. Portman has them brought back to his ship. 3 Sentinelese children are already on board, captured earlier. The islanders don't understand who these men are or what they want. Portman takes them back to Port Blair. Here, he keeps them at his house to study them closer. The Sentinelese become very sick right away. Within just a few days, the old man and the woman die. Most likely, they were exposed to microbes and diseases their immune system couldn't handle. Now, it's just the 4 Sentinelese children without the elders. A few days later, they're sent back to the island, overloaded with gifts. Portman hopes they'll return to their people as willing ambassadors. The children might have carried the very microbes that killed the man and the woman. We don't know what happened to them afterwards. Infections remain one of the greatest dangers to isolated tribes. Many have never been exposed to common viruses like the flu or even a cold. Their immune system simply can't cope. What's harmless to the rest of the world could be deadly for them. A single infection from an outsider could wipe out an entire tribe. In the 16th century, Spanish colonizers brought diseases to South America, likely without realizing it. In some regions, entire populations were cut in half. Andaman tribes were affected by this too. The Onge and Jarava have seen a dramatic collapse in their population. In 1901, the Onge numbered around 670. Today, barely 100 remain. Colonial intrusion, infectious diseases, and the steady loss of their land have all played a role in their decline. And Portman himself played a crucial role. According to historian Adam Goodhart, he was
very much a participant in and at least complicit with the genocide against the Andaman Islanders that was committed by the British in the 1800s. Somebody who was involved in exploitation, including sexual exploitation and physical abuse of the native people. And really, if it had been up to Portman, it probably would have happened to the Sentinelese as well, because he tried repeatedly to invade the island as he had done with many other groups and to bring them into submission to British rule.
Years later, Portman himself would admit that his actions may have sealed the Sentinelese distrust of outsiders for good. John finds himself blindfolded on a dirt road somewhere in the state of Kansas. He was put there and left alone. In the woods nearby, he finds a village. The inhabitants of the village appear to be some kind of native tribe. But not really. The village is fake, and the inhabitants are actors with costumes. All of this is part of his training. John joined a secretive boot camp for Christian missionaries. All Nations is a religious organization that trains people like John for their quests, and he is right in the middle of an exercise. His task is to preach the teachings of Jesus to the isolated tribe he considers unholy heathens. The fake village people act as if they're hostile, aggressively threatening him with fake spears, speaking gibberish. To John, this is the ultimate test that will prepare him for his big mission on North Sentinel. He knows the danger of setting foot on the island. He knows it could cost him his life. In 1974, a National Geographic film crew tried to meet Sentinelese face-to-face on camera for the first time. The Sentinelese spotted the boat from afar and waved their arms, mocked the outsiders, and shot arrows at the crew. They clearly did not want visitors. 7 years later, a cargo ship named Primrose ran aground on a reef on North Sentinel during a terrible storm. At first, the crew was probably relieved to be near dry land. But just 2 days later, they sent a desperate cable.
Wild men, estimate more than 50, carrying various homemade weapons, are making 2 or 3 wooden boats, worrying they will board us at sunset. All crew members' lives not guaranteed.
But because of the weather conditions, rescue missions failed. So the crew had to guard the ship with a flare gun, axes, and some lengths of pipe. But before it got to an actual fight, the crew was finally evacuated by helicopter. But still, John is determined to go. To him, North Sentinel may be Satan's last stronghold, and he could be their savior.
I think I might die tomorrow, and I wish I could have had more time to express my thanks to you.
Now John is out of his kayak and an arrow is fired at him. Miraculously, it only pierces his Bible. He's unharmed, at least according to John's diary. It's unclear if his Bible actually saved him. It could well have been a bit of storytelling on his side. What's clear? The Sentinelese chase him into the water. In panic, he swims away towards a boat out at sea. It belongs to local Indian fishermen. Before setting off for North Sentinel Island, John had paid the fishermen a $325 bribe to take him there. They departed from Port Blair towing a kayak behind it, the one John would use to make his approach to the island. Back on the boat, John takes stock of the situation. His Pelican case is gone. He had to leave it behind when he fled. It included a first aid kit, clothes, other essentials, and his passport. He had previously hidden another case on shore when he first landed to scout out the cove in the early morning. It is unknown if the Sentinelese found both cases, especially the one he hid might still be there to this day. Without his passport, he can't easily travel back to the US. For John, it's just another reason to stay and pursue his mission further. But the Sentinelese made it very clear. They do not want him there. And John really doesn't want to die. Yet, he decides to give it another try.
You guys might think I'm crazy in all this, but I think it's worth it to declare Jesus to these people. Please do not be angry at them or at God if I get killed. Don't retrieve my body. Soli Deo Gloria, John Chow, November 16th, 2018, 6:20 in the morning.
The next day, John takes the supposed pierced Bible as a sign. Today, he believes, is the day he will start to bring Jesus to the Sentinelese. This time, he tells the fishermen to leave without him. Next, he strips down to his underpants in an attempt to gain the tribe's trust. Then he steps back into the water and starts swimming. The island is just within reach. There are no records of what exactly happened that day. The only thing we know for sure is the outcome. One day passes. The fishermen return and look for John. He's nowhere to be seen. Then suddenly they spot something. A group of Sentinelese emerge from the tree line, dragging John's dead body across the sand. No words, no mercy. The message is clear. He crossed a line he was never meant to cross. John Allen Chow's death in 2018 made global news. Some called him a dumb American, a deluded idiot. John's father, a Christian himself, doesn't share this view. He blames evangelicals' extreme Christianity for his son's death. In an email to The Guardian, he called religion the opium of the masses. The evangelical organization that trained him depicted John as a martyr. In a statement they said, "The privilege of sharing the gospel has often involved great cost." A long time ago, a group of scientists actually managed to make peaceful contact with the Sentinelese after decades of trying. But these same scientists eventually pushed for the island to be under India's protection. Driven by concerns for the tribe's health, the island has been off limits since the late 90s. All anthropological work stopped. No more expeditions, no more gifts, no more visits. And to us, that's a good thing. After all, the North Sentinelese never asked for any of this.